It was another bustling Saturday night at the Golden Fork, a popular restaurant nestled in the heart of Pasadena, California. The place was packed, as usual, with the air thick with the sounds of laughter, clinking glasses, and servers rushing between tables, doing their best to keep up with the dinner rush. Among them was Lexi, a waitress known for her sharp wit and cutting remarks. She was the type of person who could handle even the busiest shifts with confidence, priding herself on being able to juggle the chaos without breaking a sweat. But on this night, things were about to take an unexpected turn. As Lexi scanned the dining room, a particular man caught her eye as he walked through the door. He was a large, unassuming figure dressed simply in a button-up shirt that seemed to stretch slightly across his stomach. His face was friendly, but there was something about his posture that made it clear he was uncomfortable. He glanced around the crowded room, unsure of where to sit. "Table for one," he said politely to the host, his voice calm and steady, almost out of place amidst the frenzied energy of the evening. The host led him to the only available table, tucked away in the corner. Lexi observed as the man hesitated before lowering himself into the chair, adjusting it to fit his size. She couldn't help but let a snide thought slip into her mind, though she kept it to herself for now. The dinner rush wasn't the time to be distracted. Still, Lexi was always one for amusement, especially when it came at the expense of others. As she passed by the man's table to take his order, she couldn't resist a chance to make a comment. "Good evening," she said cheerfully. "Looks like you've made yourself comfortable. Took a little effort, huh?" The man looked up at her with a calm smile, his expression unreadable. He didn't react as Lexi had expected, instead replying in a kind, measured tone. "It's a nice place," he said simply, his voice even and polite. Lexi blinked, taken aback by his lack of reaction. Usually, her remarks would get at least a chuckle or an eye roll, but this man remained composed. She quickly moved on, shrugging off the moment and heading back to the kitchen. "What did you say to that guy?" her coworker whispered with a laugh as Lexi passed by. She shrugged with a grin. "Just giving him a little extra service." But what Lexi didn't know was that the man she'd mocked wasn't just another customer. He was about to teach her a lesson she would never forget. As the evening wore on, Lexi continued to pass the man's table, each time noticing how his large frame made the small chair look even more uncomfortable. She exchanged amused glances with a coworker, suppressing a laugh, before returning to check on him. "Still doing okay over here?" she asked sweetly, her voice dripping with fake concern. "You know, we've got a chef's special tonight. Dessert in moderation might be worth a try." A few diners nearby exchanged awkward chuckles, but once again, the man didn't flinch. He simply thanked her with a calm smile and returned to his meal. Lexi, feeling a mix of satisfaction and confusion, walked away. She was used to getting a rise out of people, but this man gave her nothing. "Hey, maybe you should take it easy on that guy," one of her coworkers said quietly, watching the scene. "He didn't even react. Feels a little mean, you know." Lexi rolled her eyes. "It's just a joke. If he can't take it, that's on him," she replied confidently. But the nagging doubt in her mind wouldn't go away. Something about the man's demeanor bothered her, though she quickly dismissed it. As the night wore on, the man finished his meal and sat back in his chair, wiping his hands with a napkin. He glanced around the room, his eyes scanning the restaurant with an almost evaluative gaze. Lexi didn't think much of it, chalking it up to his personality quirks. But then, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. Lexi didn't pay much attention at first, people checked their phones all the time at dinner. But then she noticed something odd, he wasn't texting or scrolling. He was making a call. The call lasted less than a minute, and when he hung up, he returned to his meal with the same calm composure. "Hey, did you see that?" one of her coworkers murmured. "He's been way too calm after, everything." Lexi shrugged. "Probably calling his mom or something," she joked, trying to brush it off. But deep down, a nagging feeling told her this wasn't over. And she was right. About 10 minutes after the man made his call, the front door swung open, and the shift manager, Carlos, walked in. His face was tense, his usually relaxed demeanor replaced with an air of urgency. Carlos scanned the room until his eyes landed on the man in the corner. Lexi, polishing glasses at the bar, watched with growing curiosity. "Is everything okay?" one of the servers asked as Carlos moved quickly toward the man. "I'll handle it," Carlos replied under his breath and approached the table. Lexi leaned toward a coworker. "Why is Carlos here? Did someone complain?" Her coworker shrugged, just as confused. But then, something strange happened. Carlos and the man stood up and shook hands, like old colleagues. The exchange was brief, too quiet for anyone to hear, but Lexi couldn't help but notice the tension in Carlos's posture. He looked nervous. Her stomach churned, but she pushed it aside. She went back to tending her tables, stealing occasional glances at the man and Carlos. Carlos turned toward the rest of the staff and clapped his hands together, his voice shaking slightly. "Hey, everyone," he called out. "I need all staff to gather in the back dining area for a quick meeting. Right now, please." The room buzzed with whispers. A meeting during a dinner rush was unheard of. As the staff trickled into the back, they found Carlos standing beside the man, who hadn't moved from his spot, still smiling calmly. "Mr. Harrison," Carlos began, gesturing toward the man. "This is Mr. Harrison, the new owner of the Golden Fork." The room fell silent. Lexi's smirk froze, and she tried to process what she had just heard. "Mr. Harrison." The name sounded vaguely familiar, but she couldn't quite place it. Carlos continued, explaining that Mr. Harrison had been observing the restaurant, getting a feel for the team. "I bought this restaurant because I believe in its potential," Mr. Harrison said, his voice steady. "I want to create a place where people feel welcome, where both the food and service are excellent. But tonight, I saw something that deeply disappointed me." The room grew even quieter, the tension thick in the air. "I'm not here to embarrass anyone," Mr. Harrison continued, his gaze sweeping over the room. "But when one of my employees makes a customer feel small, when they mock someone who's done nothing but sit down to enjoy a meal, that's a failure of everything this restaurant is supposed to stand for." Lexi's cheeks burned with shame as she realized what had just happened. Her comments, her sharp tongue, had crossed a line. And now, she was about to face the consequences. Mr. Harrison's eyes landed on her for a brief moment before he spoke directly to her. "Words have power," he said firmly. "A joke, no matter how harmless it might seem to you, can cut deeply when aimed at someone's vulnerabilities. I've heard jokes like that all my life." The weight of his words hit her like a punch. She had no defense. No way to explain herself. All she could do was stand there, feeling smaller than ever. "I'm not here to punish anyone," Mr. Harrison said. "But I need everyone in this room to understand that this restaurant is about more than food. It's about the experience we create for every person who walks through that door. And that experience starts with respect." After the meeting, Carlos pulled Lexi aside. "We need to talk," he said, his voice calm but firm. Lexi nodded, guilt weighing heavily on her chest. In the days that followed, Lexi worked hard to reflect on her actions. She apologized to Mr. Harrison, and he accepted her apology with grace, reminding her that true growth comes from learning and changing. And she did. The restaurant's atmosphere shifted. The staff underwent further training on respect and customer service, and Lexi worked to become more mindful of her words and actions. But more importantly, she learned the true power of kindness and the lasting impact of her words. The lesson was clear: you never know what someone is going through, or who they truly are. A little kindness can go a long way, and a thoughtless remark can leave scars you may never see. Remember, whether at work, at home, or with strangers, choose respect. It costs nothing, but means everything.